Hello, and today I wanted to review the Nectar Hex Dry Herb Vaporizer. I wanted to talk about my experiences using it over the last 8 months. I also wanted to mention the good, the bad, and the ugly. But before we get into it, don't forget to drop a comment, leave a like, and if you want to, consider subscribing. It helps me a ton, and I'm so close to 1,000 subs. Thank you so much. Let's go from the back to the front. Starting with the ugly. And these are the factors that are making me question whether I should even keep this vape. Now, I don't know if this is unique to this vape or just all vapes in general, but I've had this happen to me a few times. That I'll have my vape stored in my shoulder bag or my throw bag. I don't really know what they're called. They're those little like roadman bags you see. And I guess the on button, you have to click it several times. I believe it's 5 times in a row to make it turn on, but it's turned on by itself a few times. I presume what's happened is that as I move around, the button's obviously pushed against something hard and the momentum has just tapped it 5 times in a row. But I remember one time specifically that I was on the Stansted Express and it was heaving and I was pushed up against someone, and then a few minutes later I was like, I can smell some low-grade cannabis, kind of smirking to myself. And then probably 2 minutes later, the smell got so unbearable, I was like, wait a minute, that's my low-grade cannabis. So I had to dive into my shoulder bag, subtly pull out my vape that was making this whole carriage stink, and turn it off. And even more frustratingly, I had obviously leaned up against the temperature button and it was at the max, so 240°C, so my bag was also roasting as well. Again, I'm not sure if this is just unique to this vape or all vapes, because I've had other vapes in the past where you've had to tap the on button a few times to make it work, but it's very frustrating. And I'm trying to be discreet with my medical cannabis, but I essentially hotboxed an entire carriage of people trying to go away on holiday. And leading on from that, the actual mouthpiece itself, it's made of like a high quality metal. It feels really nice in the mouth. That kind of sounds weird. However, I've had this get unbearably hot, even when it's around 180°C, to the point of where I actually can't put my lips on this nozzle. This is getting a bit weird. But basically, the nozzle gets so hot that I can't actually use it. But it probably happens, I would say, around once a week. It may be a faulty unit that I've got, but it's not great. And I definitely don't think that this should be happening so frequently. I probably should reach out to their support, which I will go into later, but they are probably bored of hearing from me at this point. I've probably been blacklisted, to be fair. But the biggest thing that annoys me, and I'm not alone on this because I actually see this posted pretty frequently on Reddit, are the dosing capsules. Now, when I first got my vape, I was like, this is fantastic. The dosing capsule that came with it is I believe it's stainless steel, and it's of a significantly high quality. And I was like, damn, this is really impressive. Shout out Nectar, this is brilliant. However, this didn't last long. I actually was like, I'm probably going to lose this because of my ADHD, and it's small. It's going to be gone within a month of having it. So I decided to buy a multi-pack of dosing capsules from their website. However, they have recently updated these dosing capsules to be made out of aluminium, and they are of awful quality. I have messaged the support team about this to voice my concerns, but I believe you get 7 or 9, I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll put a picture on screen so you can see and count. But these new dosing capsules are horrific. They are really cheap quality. The lids do not stay on. There's been several times where I've loaded up the dosing capsule and I've knocked it off the table and it's hit the floor and just cannabis everywhere. They feel cheap. I've got 2 that are broken or falling apart. And I know they may have done this to save money, or it may be better for the user, but in all honesty, they suck. They are probably the biggest letdown. I don't know if you were to buy a Nectar Gold vape and if it would come with the aluminium one or if it will come with the stainless steel one, but when I ordered, I got the stainless steel one, and then I ordered the multi-pack and I got the aluminium ones. So let's move on to the bad. These aren't ugly, they just are mildly inconvenient. The first one is the screen. When you're indoors, it's brilliant. It's a great bright screen. However, the second you go into any form of sunlight or outdoors, you can kiss goodbye to the visibility. And this is really frustrating. We've had a very good summer this year and I've vaped a lot outside, but it is a pain in the backside when you have to cover the screen to see what temperature you're vaping at or to make sure that it's turned on or off. Another annoying point is the back panel. The back panel on my vape specifically is really loose. I'm forever pushing it up to lock into place. If I put it in my backpack or in my shoulder bag, chances are when I pull it out next, the back panel will be loose or completely off. And since I spent, I think, around £170 on this vape, I would expect it to be a little bit higher quality, or just to stay on at the very least. Running with the theme of it doing crazy things when it's put into a backpack, it also has a feature where you can flip the orientation of the screen, which is pretty cool. I believe you have to click the button 3 times and then hold it down. But there's been several times that it's gone into my backpack or shoulder bag and I've taken it out to use it. I go to turn it on and everything is flipped. I feel like everything is very susceptible to be easily changed, and I wish there were some ways that could almost safeguard against that. What those may be, I don't know. All I can tell you and Nectar is that it's annoying. It doesn't take a few seconds to reorientate it, but when it first happened, I was like, I don't know how to change this, and I had to dig out the manual and sort it out. And finally, this isn't really a bad point. I think this is very unique to all dosing capsules, but it's a bit of a pain to fill up. They're very small, and I've actually had to 3D print a custom funnel, essentially, that I now use to go around the dosing capsule. I can then fill it with cannabis, I can pack it in just gently, and then I can push it out, and then it's essentially a fully loaded capsule. If anybody does have a 3D printer, do let me know in the comments and I will share this STL file with you. But I don't think that would be fair to call out Nectar, because I think this is an issue that is probably very common in lots of dosing capsules. Now let's get on to the good, and I know I've had a bit of a moan and probably been a bit critical. There are some things that I do really like about this vape. The first is that this thing is built like a tank. I have dropped this, I have probably kicked it, punched it. Like, this thing has been through the ringer. It's often put in a backpack or a bag that has lots of other hard objects in. And then other than a few dings here and there and a bit of the paintwork coming off, it's held up perfectly. It feels weighty in the hand. That's what she said. But it's not too bulky. It will fit in a small bag. It's discreet, and I like that. I know there are vaporizers like the Mighty. Obviously, they come with their own benefits, but it's probably too bulky for myself. It's really easy to disassemble and clean. I literally just take out all the parts, the lid, all the filters, the nozzle, and I just whack it in some isopropyl alcohol for a bit. I then take a Q-tip and just clean the inside and around the outside with some isopropyl alcohol, and jobs are good. I really like that there's I think it's called a mag stick. I don't know, someone fact check me on that. But it's like a little stick that's hidden under the device that you can use just to clean out the capsule. I always forget that it's there, and it's always a treat to use it because it's such a well thought through thing. So big props to Nectar there. You can replace the rechargeable battery, which I liked. I think you can install batteries with higher capacities, or if your battery dies, it's great. You can replace them. You can buy them off the Nectar website. I think that's really great. You have great temperature control. I think the lowest is 160°C and the highest is 140°C, and in that range you're going to extract all the terpenes, all the cannabinoids, everything that you need perfectly. And it heats up fast as well, which is nice. Another big one, but this is more of a personal one, that it's USB-C. I've got so many USB-C cables, so I'm always able to charge this. My old vape was USB micro, and that is a pain. Like, I only had one of those cables, but yeah, big thumbs up for USB-C. We like USB-C. And finally, a big one that I really liked and was a nice surprise is that they have a great customer service team. There is a company WhatsApp that you can essentially WhatsApp. And like I said, I've messaged them quite a few times and I've probably been blacklisted. But every time I've spoken with someone, they've been exceptionally helpful, really responsive, and I think it's really impressive that there are companies out there that have such a great customer service team. So well done, Nectar. So should you buy this vape? I don't know. I'm actually going to fire a question to you guys. What vape do you use and what vape do you recommend? Because I'm actually in the process of looking into other vapes because I'm actually not 100% sold with this vape. I think it has some great redeeming features, but I do think that there are better vapes out there, and I would really like some feedback on that, or some guidance or some help. So if whatever vape that you use, please let me know. I am looking for something a little smaller and more discreet, but I still want to have that flexibility of temperatures and potentially a dosing capsule system as well, because that is a well thought through feature. But again, I really appreciate you watching this video. I know it's a little bit different. I've been doing some other experimenting with videos that haven't done particularly well. I don't know if it's just because of what they are, but I probably will move away from looking at other substances and just focus around cannabis. I had also planned to have a load of ADHD content be released, but I've decided to move that to another channel because I know a lot of you probably don't want to hear about my story with ADHD. So I've decided to move that to a channel where I will focus more, sorry, I just dropped my vape, focus on mental health and ADHD and all those kind of good things. So if you are interested, do check it out. I'll put a link down in the description below. But as always, a huge thank you for watching. I do really appreciate it. Take care.